Hello and welcome back to the Captains Quadrant, section 31 and a half. As we have questions, we have an amazing and exciting to be with you today with our guest, Cathie Shirriff. You may remember her from Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, as one of the first female Klingons on the big screen.
Commander Krug, this is Valkris.
I remember her greatly from Ripley's Believe It or Not, and she is a Canadian actress, and she was also in All That Jazz, and we're going to have a great time talking with her. Cathie, thank you so much, and welcome to the Captains Quadrant.
My pleasure to be here.
All right. So I'm going to kick it off. What drew you into acting initially, and how did your experiences shape your career to get you that iconic role as Valkris in Star Trek 3?
Well, going back, my first career precedes the acting career, which was modeling, and I did that because I wanted to see the world, and it kind of fell into my lap in Toronto. And long story short, an agent in London contacted me because some of my other friends had gone to London, got to know him, and he contacted me and said, love to have you over here. So I packed my bags and at 20 went to London. But my goal was to see the world, travel and see the world. So I put my foot down and said, yeah, I'm here, but I don't want to do studio work. I don't want to do runway. I don't want to do makeup ads. I want to do location. Everything on location I'm up for. And then I ended up in Paris too. Paris agent got hold of me and said, come on over, and did the same thing. And I ended up with a passport at 21 with accordion pages in it because there were so many visas and stamps. They had to add pages to the passport. And I was fulfilling my dream. Just traveled all over the world, got paid for it. And I remember thinking, riding a camel in the Sahara with some Bedouins. And anyway, I remember thinking, wow, I'm getting paid to be here. I worked a lot in New York, but again, I was really only interested in travel. But I ended up, I somehow got the role, a role in a movie called Vampira. It had two names. It had Old Dracula and Vampira. I'm not sure which name even it ended up with. But it starred David Niven. And of course I was going to do it, but I had I'd never had an acting class. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just stiff and stupid. And so that was my first acting role. And I thought, I'm not going to do that again unless I've had some lessons. And so I started in class in New York, continued in class in Los Angeles. And by now I was going back and forth from LA to New York to LA. And so I had that one experience under my belt, but then I ended up on an audition and I was taking dance class to stay fit because I was always very athletic, and in Manhattan, there's not many sports that I could or wanted to do. So I studied dance, and I ended up with an audition for Bob Fosse for All That Jazz. And I knew I'm taking dance for recreation, exercise. I am not a dancer. All the other people in the class were Broadway dancers. I was not. So I went and I did the role, or I did the audition, and there's a whole other story that ends up with that. But that's how, I think that was one of my earlier roles. And then I got a pilot in LA. I was going back and forth doing this and that, and I kind of fell into it. But by now I was now in class and taking it a little more seriously. But it started with, I don't know, about 40 commercials, and just in Manhattan alone, in New York alone, and kind of evolved into California stints and a few acting roles. And then I started to get a little more serious. Awesome. But you mentioned Taxi.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about the Taxi job was that I was playing Christopher Lloyd's girlfriend.
Yeah.
The very next job I got was for Star Trek, playing Christopher Lloyd, Cruz. And I don't know what the connection was. I didn't audition for the role. I never auditioned for Valkris. And Glenda Jackson was actually supposed to do the role, so I was told. And ended up with a time problem, or maybe she didn't want to go through the makeup, which is traumatic. A lot of people, I think, quit before they get that finished, and because you're encased in plastic, and so it's pretty rough. I don't know why she didn't do it, but all of a sudden I had the role, and I don't know what the connection was. But I didn't even have to audition for it, so it was quite an honor to be replacing Glenda Jackson and to not have to audition for the role. Wow.
Well,
So,
believe it or not, Star Trek 3 was the first Star Trek movie I actually saw in theaters. I was 8 years old, and I bugged my parents. You know, I'd just seen Star Trek 2 on TV, and I was bugging them. I was like, I want to go see this movie so bad. Let me go see this movie so bad. And I don't know if you believe me whenever I say this, but whenever I left the theater, the most questions I had was about Valkris. Because to me, I just thought that was the most amazingly brave and stone cold awesome thing to just sit there and say, oh, okay, well, blow me up then, I guess. You know, I was going out with you on Taxi. I guess you're breaking up with me now. What was it like for you to step into the Star Trek universe? And by extension, I'd like to know what it was like getting directed by Leonard Nimoy.
you know, it was so fast. My actual interaction with him was very brief because I was mostly makeup and costume. And then I think it was one day shoot. I'm sure it was one day shoot because they had to put I mean, I really have fuzzy memories about it. Being directed by Leonard Nimoy was obviously an honor, but I think I was in a daze the whole time. It was like they had to beam me up to the role, and then I came back to Earth, and I have no idea what happened. My memory was erased.
That's awesome. With, as you said, Bob Farsi, did you get a lot of, I know you took dancing lessons beforehand, all that jazz. That was also a stage play. Did you have to go and try to step into the theater to get a little bit of the feel of that musical?
No. I didn't. I wasn't a dancer. As a matter of fact, funny story, Bob Fosse had quite a reputation that preceded him.
Uh-oh.
And so I auditioned, and I thought, no way I'm getting the role, but that was fun. It wasn't a dancing audition. It was just to meet him and talk to him. And he was kind of going through girls and seeing who he wanted to try and work with. And I knew I didn't get it, and it didn't upset me because you don't get most of the roles you audition for, unfortunately. But a few weeks later, I don't know how long it was, but it might have been a few months later. It was a long time after the audition. I got a phone call from Mr. Fosse, and it was about 7:00 at night. And he said, I just wondered if you wanted to get together and go over some of the dance moves and so on. And I knew what that call was about. And I said, I was in New York at the time. I said, I made this up on the fly. We have tickets to the theater, and we're going with another couple, and I have the tickets. So I have to show up. I can't do that tonight. And then my boyfriend walked in, and he said, who was that? And I said, I just turned down Bob Fosse. And that was the end of that. They had a lot of problems getting money. They had a lot of problems in production. It took a long time for that to actually come to fruition. And I was in California, and I got a call from my agent, and they said, Bob Fosse wants you for a role, and he doesn't want anybody else for it.
Oh.
And I thought, I'll be right there. You don't have to fly me in. I'll be right there. You can pay me scale. You don't have to pay me. And so I went up back to New York and did the role. It was the head of intensive care. So he put me in the movie, but I was not a dancer. And I would have failed if he had auditioned me as a dancer. Failed miserably. So I was in it, and I had played the head of intensive care.
That's cool. It's such an iconic role, regardless. I mean, that movie resonates for everybody in generations
Yes,
past.
yeah.
Jason.
So after he's had his heart attack, he
had a heart attack. What happened?
No, in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
In the movie.
Yeah, I was like,
he had a heart attack, and I'm the head of intensive care from
there. It is. Yeah.
Well, speaking of resonating, out of all the characters you've ever portrayed, which one resonates with you the most, and why?
Well, Ripley's Believe It or Not was what I loved, which was travel. So that was pretty awesome for that alone. It was very interesting. A lot of usually 5 countries in 5 days. I mean, it was intense. But all that, not all that jazz. Probably Star Trek, because it was the smallest role with the biggest history and life to the role. I mean, I'm now going to the convention in Vegas in August.
Oh, nice.
And
everybody's going to Vegas but me.
Oh, I was hoping to get to meet you guys in person.
Yeah.
I would have loved to. Unfortunately, I have this job thing I got to do.
Yeah, I guess with all your equipment, you can't be very...
No.
Yeah.
The thing about having a job that stinks is that they expect you to show up.
Well, that role was, they used to call me, and I actually quit modeling when I met, I think Star Trek was the last job I did. And I met the man of my dreams and married him. And we were together we were married 38 years. And so I used to get calls from LA asking if I wanted to do the Star Trek convention in Las Vegas. And I was living the life. I was flying around, and we had a fabulous property in the Hamptons, and my summers were there. He had a 3 and 5 year old. He had 3 and 5 year old sons who were my stepkids. I think by then, actually, I don't think I had my daughter yet, but I couldn't leave the Hamptons and my 2 kids, who are now my 2 sons, to go to Las Vegas for a convention. And I really didn't understand a lot about Star Trek either. I've learned more about it in the last month than I understood back then. Because now I really kind of have to. If they have me on a panel, they've threatened to put me on a panel.
Oh.
And if they ask me questions that I can't, well, I'm just going to have to say, hey, come on. I was 3 minutes on screen.
It was a memorable 3 minutes, though.
The most powerful, yeah.
Yeah. I will say right now, Valkris is the most honorable, brave Klingon I think has ever been portrayed on Star Trek in those 3 minutes. I just think she blows every other Klingon away with just how stoic she is. She's like, yeah, okay, shoot me, it's all good.
Yeah,
you snored anyway.
Yeah. Oh wow, you remembered it.
Oh wow,
awesome.
Wow.
It was my last line, and I don't know why it's stuck in my head.
That is awesome. I was going to ask you, did you end up having to learn Klingon? But obviously, yes.
Yes.
Oh wow. Was that a wild process for you, or
it was? Well, it was. I mean, this is 40 years ago,
and it's still in your head. That's awesome.
And yeah, I mean, but they were developing this guy. I can't remember his name. I could look it up, I suppose, but I didn't. And but he actually developed, and this is almost pre-computer. I mean, it was really a long time ago, and he somehow was able to create a language so that he could write a word in English and translate it into Klingon. Then the pronunciation, what he had to figure out too. So it was very guttural, and I was a language major in school, so
that's
I
perfect.
spoke English, French, German, and Latin. So it was the guttural and from the German helped me a lot with the Klingonese. But yeah, it blew my mind that he had actually done this. I was just awestruck by him. Wow. But that's the only phrase I remember, unfortunately. Even if I watch it, I can't remember to how to put it back together again.
Do you remember if there was maybe more to your scene that maybe didn't make it into the movie?
No, it really was I don't think so. I mean, obviously they do take after take after take. They've got all of this makeup invested, and they've got, they've got the set and these two guys and so on. It's all so choreographed that I don't think they wanted to lose anything, but they shot what they had. I don't recall anything that wasn't in the in the movie.
Okay.
Oh, wow. No Star Trek 3 director's cut. No Spock cut available.
I just remember I read the novelization back then as well, and I just remember in the book there was a lot more to the scene. Like, it gave her a backstory, it gave her a scar on one side of her face, but never explained what it was. And I just thought there was no scar on her face in the movie.
No, I didn't have a scar.
No.
But doing the headpiece was,
oh yeah,
wow, we'll never forget that. And again, they do everything so much easier now with all the prosthetics and green screen and so on. But with this, they had, they sat me down in the chair. They went over it very clearly on the phone to make sure that I was going to be able to handle it, because it's really intense. And they explained that first they start with, I might have the order wrong, except for the last. They start with, first they're covering the head with whatever, and then they took my eyes out and covered them. Then they covered my ears. So that's a really weird feeling when it's dead sound. So it's like you can't see anything, you can't hear anything, and you're already starting to feel like you're in a coffin.
No.
Then they take the mouth away and they leave the nose for the last. But the mouth, I could at least say, how much longer? What are we doing? What's going on? I can't see anything or hear anything, but I could still talk. And they had given me a pad and a pencil in case I needed to say something once my mouth was gone.
Oh, wow.
So now my mouth is covered, and now they start down the nose, and then they put 2 straws in my nose, and now that's it. And I had to be completely entombed for, I don't know how long it was, but it all had to dry enough to be able to peel it off.
It's giving me anxiety just hearing about it.
Yeah.
I was like, I can do this. 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 And finally, I was just at the end. I thought, I can't do this. I'm going to bail. And it was how much longer I wrote. They could actually figure out what I was saying. It's probably what everybody writes when they're going through that process. How much longer? And so it was like just a couple more minutes. 5 max. I remember 5 max. And so I started to count up to 60 and up to 60. And finally they took it off and I made it. But that was really intense.
That sounds intense.
Wow.
I give you
all that for just this.
Yeah.
I didn't have weird ears. I didn't have weird nose. It was, I think they might have, I think they put extended the bridge of the nose right here, but it was intense.
I tell you, you got to play some extremely memorable characters. Which one resonates with you the most besides Valkris? Because you're also in Wonder Woman.
Yeah, but that was bubblegum TV.
Yeah. Linda Carter's awesome.
One of my girlfriends saw a post where it said, "Oh, I didn't know you had a robot for a boyfriend." And I said, "Yeah, but that wasn't the first."
Oh, that's perfect. Just
realized that could go off in so many directions.
Yeah, it's okay. We're all cool here in the Captains Quadrant.
Well, I hope you don't mind. I would like to switch gears for just a second and talk about a show that was near and dear to me growing up, and that's Ripley's Believe It or Not. And I was wondering if you had any tales from your time on there, working with Jack Palance and traveling the world, as you said.
Jack Palance was not happy about me getting the role because he had a daughter who was my age and very similar looking. And I don't know why, but either the director or the producer or the network, I don't know, wanted me. And they obviously, whoever it was, won. And so Holly did not get the role, and Palance as in balance. It's not Palance. We used to correct people. Palance as in balance.
Oh,
Wow.
And the only time I ever met him was when we did a studio publicity shot with the two of us, that and a black and white picture, and that was it. That was the only time I ever spoke to him. He was furious that they had picked me over Holly. And I mean, Holly could have done it very easily. She, in fact, did season 2.
Right.
When they renewed it, Jack had said, apparently, I'll renew it, but Holly's in the role, not Cathie.
Damn. Shrewd.
So I didn't do season 2, but it was intense. It was difficult, and it was tough to get up and keep moving around. But I had fun. I mean, it was fun. We did stay in the same hotel in Paris. We were never working together. It was always his thing and my thing. We never worked together. And we were in the same hotel. Even there, he wouldn't pick up the phone and call and say, hey, hi, want to have a drink? No.
Oh, wow.
We were in the same hotel. He wouldn't talk to me.
That's a different age. Like, it's rude on his part.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I understood it, really. I understood it. So I didn't really take it personally, because I understood he was pissed off that his daughter didn't have the role when she was perfectly capable of doing it. And she was great in season 2. I don't know. Again, I was traveling so much that I really didn't pay attention to any of the work I had done. I was just happy to get the job and move on to another country or another place. I was a bit of a gypsy.
Is there any wild countries that you visited for the show that you were like, okay, that was an experience, and kind of wanted to get out of there?
Well, one of the things we did, I sailed down the Persian Gulf on an Arab dhow from Dubai to Kenya, to Mombasa in Kenya.
Oh, wow.
That was pretty wild. And we did end up in jail for something. And it was my pen was literally that. It was with goats. They had to clear us. We didn't clear something with the government and so on. So they had to check our passports and make sure we were really who we said we were. But so I was held in jail in a pen with goats. I mean, it was pretty wild. This is in 70. It was probably about 72 or 3. It was rustic.
To say the least. Yeah.
And we did get out of jail, and there was another shoot I did in Tunisia where they threatened to put us in jail because we were a crew. I forgot what I was doing. I think it was a bathing suit catalog. And we were all caravanning. I think we were finished and we had left someplace, and we were 2 or 3 vehicles full of people, and the art director and the director and we all stopped in a place for coffee and a bite to eat. And it was more of a coffee tea place. Again, this is 72, 73 in Tunisia, in the middle of nowhere. The director or the assistant director or somebody thought that the property manager or whoever was paying the bill, and it was one of those, I thought you paid it. No, I thought you paid it.
Oh, no.
And we were stopped. And again, thrown in jail with the goats.
Wow.
Well, I hope I'm as lucky getting out of here, because they wanted to charge us for running away from paying the bill. So, and I didn't really, it was all in French, and I spoke French, but I wasn't paying attention enough to really get the gist of it. But it was a real argument back and forth with, we didn't run out on the bill. I honestly thought, blah, blah, blah. So, but we did end up getting on our way. But
wow.
But no, as far as countries are concerned, I don't know. I loved everywhere I went. I just loved it. I don't remember any bad jobs.
Huh.
But I would get booked a lot because I was the one who would go, and models were, if there was another model or 2 other models, and they'd start bitching about the weather and it's too hot. I'm in Africa. I don't want to have hot rollers in my hair. And we'd be hot rollered and bumping along in a Jeep on terrible roads. I was the one that the photographer would always say, "Can you take care of Suzanne? She's giving us a problem." And I'd have to go in and say, "Hey, come on. You could have stayed at home and worked in an air-conditioned studio, but you chose this job." So, so I was the kind of troubleshooter for everybody. And that, I think, is partly why I worked all the time, because they thought, she loves what she's doing. She's great on location. She takes care of everything. And so I was kind of the go-to model for getting out of town.
Nice. Your reputation preceded you. That's why you were well liked and got all these. They
Yeah,
were like, "Oh, you know what?
yeah.
She put these guys in line. Let's get her in."
Well, it wasn't the guys so much. It was other models. If they gave us,
Oh,
obviously, when I was on my own, I was fine, and I loved everywhere I went. But there was, well, we won't go there. But anyway, yeah, I was the one that they liked to have on their team, so that I could kind of wrangle the girls who got out of line.
wow, the model whisperer.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
So thinking back to auditions, is there anything you auditioned for that you really, really wanted but didn't get?
Oh, probably many, but yes, one does come to mind. The Right Stuff, playing Chuck Yeager's wife. And I forgot her name, who got it, but it was her or me. And I can't remember. It's so long ago, and you tend to kind of want to forget the ones that you didn't get. It was a heartbreak. So I don't remember who got it, but she was very good, and she deserved the role. She was really good. The other one that I was up for, I can't remember what it was actually. But Kim Basinger and I were against each other. We were the last two picked. And it was Kim or me, and Kim got it. So there were two, but I really don't remember what the projects were.
Was it Batman '89 maybe?
No, it wasn't Batman. And it
crazy.
might have been, what was that? 8.5, 7.5, 6.5, 8.5, 9.5 weeks.
Oh, 9.5 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And once I saw that, I thought, she really did it much better than I could do it.
Oh, don't say that. Oh, wow.
She was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So what inspired you to transition into real estate, and how did that compare
I had quit I quit modeling, acting when I met my husband. And he just swept me off my feet, and I was really happy just living the life, and being mom and being wife, and he was a larger than life guy too. And so I really didn't want anything to do with working. That's not true. I was working as a wife. I mean, it was party planning and looking after kids and running the houses and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's not that I wasn't working. I didn't have time to work something else other than what I was doing. And I was very happy doing what I was doing. But he passed away 2.5 years ago. Well, that's right. Later on. I actually went, we were going to an event, and I had to go to Neiman Marcus to buy a pair of shoes, look for a pair of shoes. And I was driving down Benedict Canyon here in Beverly Hills. And when I got back, he said, "Did you find your shoes?" And I said, "No, but I bought a house."
The shoes, house, same thing.
You can buy shoes later. I pulled a really good deal on this house. I made an offer they couldn't refuse.
Wow.
And so I flipped it, and it was an easy flip, and it was fun, and I really liked that. And I had another house that I was going to do. And I also owned my house that I owned before I met my husband. And eventually I thought, every time I was renting my house out that I wasn't living in anymore. And it was so every time I wrote a check to a realtor, I thought, I really should go get my license. And so, but I had fun only doing the projects that I had bought, and I was remodeling and I was flipping. I really never went into it to be a big agent and do the business side of it and so on. Besides, my daughter was at Boulder. I was about to tear a house down and rebuild it from scratch. And I had the plans and worked very hard on it, a house that I really wanted to live in myself. And I thought, I can't. Obviously, my daughter's more important. And I didn't really need real estate as an income at the time. And I thought, I can't do this particular project. So I just kind of sat back and decided to be a real estate agent, but I continued to flip. And that was just something I could do on my own time. I didn't have to be somewhere at a certain time. I didn't have a boss. And I made good money doing it. And then my last flip was I bought a property December 2019, and I was ready to start when everything got shut down for COVID. And it was so hard to do that property with the contractor always being called for an emergency here, an emergency there, and we'll be back in a week. Blah, blah, blah. Prices were skyrocketing and supply chain was broken. I mean, really broken. And it was a mess. And I thought, that's it. I'm done. I'm not doing any more flips. I don't like real estate. I'm going back to acting.
Wow.
So I'm just getting everything kind of geared up to, getting all my camera equipment, because I'll have to do audition tapes and so on. And there's all of that stuff was forming while I was not in the acting world. So it's all kind of new to me. I have to relearn that before I can go back to auditioning.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, is it now that you're going back into acting, are you prepared to, you were saying you were going to get some new equipment. Are you getting your lighting and everything? Are you ready to get the whole new experience in modern auditioning? It's going to be like a director.
Looking around the house, like, what would be a good spot to, I've got 6 dogs too. So
I heard a squeaky toy. So I was like, Jason, get your dog. And it's not him.
They don't like it when I shut them out of my space.
Mine don't either. Mine has to be in my lap the whole time.
I've got 6 smalls too.
Oh, wow. I have 1 small, but he likes
He's
to
Satan, yes.
Yeah, my dog's a little mean. I'm not gonna lie.
He's the devil.
He's a little bit rough. He's rough on the edges. Ever since he got neutered, he just got so rough. I don't know. But he's very friendly at conventions. So if you see us, just come up.
Are you going to be there?
No, neither one of us are gonna, because we do Trek Long Island. That's out in Long Island. So if you're in New York, I'll definitely put you in touch.
Yeah.
If you're interested, that would be great. And then
I'm going to look into that next year. I know you just had it.
Yeah, we just had it June. Yeah, we sat with Andrew Robinson on the stage this time. This year. It was really a lot of fun.
That's the other thing, is the cast of Star Trek
is massive.
I'm probably going to end up in a little closet somewhere. I mean, it's who's Valkris?
No, believe me. You'll be fine. When you have such an impact, especially in the Star Trek universe, we had a character recently called Moopsie, and it was just a one-off, 1-episode character, and it's like huge. I'm telling you, you will be showered upon with love. The universe is very forgiving and loving. So,
well, I must say, the people that I've dealt, I mean, that all came about in a really weird way, because, as I said, they stopped calling me for appearances in Vegas a long time ago. But my dog groomer, when she found out that I had done Valkris, she said, "What do you do?" And I said, "Well, I used to blah, blah, blah." And she said, "Oh my God, my best friend is the biggest Trekkie I've ever met." And he would love an autograph picture. So I gave him that. And I said, "Bring him around sometime. I'm not inaccessible. I'd love to say hi to him." She said, "Oh my God, he'll just die." And I met him, and he's a really, really nice guy. And he's actually the one who said, "I know the people at Creation, and would you be interested in doing the convention?" And I said, "Yeah, I would really be interested. I know it's been going on without me, but I'd sure like to be at the next one." So that's how that all came about. And he's helping with doing the headshots, and he's making a T-shirt and
nice.
Posters and all kinds of stuff. So, but I know I know there was the actor who did I think it was the series after. I can't remember. Again, I'm so unplugged in the business right now, and he apparently showed up at the convention with his own table and so on, and they had stuck him off in a corner somewhere. I guess because he didn't go through the regular channels.
Oh yeah, he did it on his own.
I guess, yeah, I could think so. But that's kind of my image of what I'm going to be like, stuck in
nope
in the back 40.
No, it's so I did STLV in 23, and it was amazing. The lines are long for everybody, like whoever was there that you could think of. Even like, oh, this guy was the hand grip. Hi, held the tape, and then he still had a line. So you're gonna be fine.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
that actually kind of went into the next question we had was what was the most interesting fan interaction you've ever had? So are there any more stories of meeting fans who maybe recognized you or maybe didn't know who you were until somebody told them, and then they kind of went, oh my gosh, you were awesome?
Well, yeah, I mean, because everything I did was 40 years ago, so nobody would recognize me from anything, but I still get fan mail.
Oh,
from Magnum, not so much Taxi, but I get a fair amount from Magnum, but I get a lot for Star Trek still.
really?
This many years ago, yes.
Wow.
See, I told you that our universe is very loving and very arms wide open.
Yeah,
very accepting. Yeah. So for sure, you're going to be.
Some of them have sent pictures that they had graphically altered. I mean, with not the picture itself, but with a banner down the side with Cathie Shirriff Valkris and Star Trek. I mean, very elaborate things that they wanted signed. So wow. It's always warmed my heart. But now I'm thinking, I could have been charging for those.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh my goodness.
In fact, I've got a stack that I haven't responded to, and I feel so bad. And sometimes they get mixed up. I don't know whose letter this is, so I don't know. There's no address on the letter because it somehow got separated from its envelope, and so
it sounds like you need a handler.
I do.
I volunteer as tribute. I'll help you out. Oh wow. So you said you were obviously in Magnum PI, and you'll get fan mail from there. But is there any memorable moments from Magnum that you can share about?
Well, it was the fourth one. It was the fourth one, and I had been married for 5 minutes prior to meeting my husband. I married the only two men that stopped my heart.
Oh wow!
And I'm still friends with the one I was married to for 5 minutes, but when we were on a separation, and I had just decided I'm going to drive myself into a brick wall, or else I don't know. I got to get out of this. It was the crazy late 70s, 80s. Anyway, so we had separated, and then I got the job for Magnum, and Tom Selleck, of course, was blowing up TV. I mean, he was the poster boy of everything. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm going off to Hawaii to work with Tom Selleck, who was the nicest guy. He's such a nice guy. He is as nice as he seems, nicer. And my husband at the time, David, had decided that since I was going to Hawaii, he would come to Hawaii and we'd go to the Hana Ranch and so on and have a nice reunion. And in the meantime, I'm like, but I'm with Tom Selleck. Can't we do this reunion another time?
Wow.
That was fun. Gosh, I can't remember. I did an Airwolf with Jen Michael Vincent, who was really struggling at the time. And so I don't even remember. I did do some stuff with him, but I can't really remember. And I did something with Star Maker with Rock Hudson. I should have brought my resume because I actually forget half the stuff I did. With Rock Hudson, also one of the nicest guys. And I actually had a scene where we kissed, and he came out right after that production.
Oh, that sucks. I was like, whoops.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. He was always that way. He was always that way. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
no, I was just worried that I'd caught it. You know, that was the big fear back then, that you could catch it just by being in the same room as somebody. It was.
I remember my parents telling me, you know, wipe down toilet seats before you sat on them, because there was so much misinformation back then.
Yeah.
And then that hasn't changed. I remember when COVID came out.
I was going to say, kind of similar to COVID.
Yeah. It's the misinformation was greater than the information. You know, it was insane.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So looking back, what advice would you give to your younger self starting out in the entertainment industry?
What would I give advice to myself? I did everything pretty much the way I lived by my gut. And I knew at a very young age that I was one of 5 girls, and we were from a very nice family in Toronto. But I had decided, they took us down to the gym for geography class with those reel-to-reel films, and I remember, and they showed countries around the world, and I don't know what, I think I was in 8th grade, and I remember thinking that had such an effect on me that I want to get out of Toronto. I want to see the world. I want to travel. I want to be out there. I don't want to be here. I want to be there. And I set myself up and I wanted to earn my own money. And so I used to leave notes around the neighborhood. I used to babysit, of course, and dog walk, of course. And I left a couple of times. I left notes under the door or in the mailbox. It wasn't illegal back then. Give your housekeeper the day off. Let me wax your floors.
Oh, wow.
I was 14, I think. And I did. And while I had and I started modeling in Toronto, and I was doing commercials, and I was also at the same time selling Avon door to door. So I was just going to accumulate as much money as I could on my own. Yeah. And still supported some orphan child through World
Aid or something like that. I remember that. Save the Children, something.
World something.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was a part of my giving back part. But because I was selling Avon and I was on TV too, I was able to do really, really well with Avon. You need this lip color and you need this foundation.
You're right, I do. Look how it works on you. I need the same thing.
I can be on commercials too if I use these products.
Yeah. I could be the next Valkris. Let's do it, you know.
So I saved, and when modeling kind of fell into my lap, I went to London. I had left $3,000 in my bank account. Now this is 50 years ago, I think, something like that. So that was a fair amount of money back then, and it was my little safety net. And I went to London, and I ended up getting an apartment that was rent controlled on the King's Road in London, which is like back then in the 70s, it was, you're living on the King's Road?
Wow.
And yes, I was. And,
it's like living on Park Ave in New York City, right?
Kind of, but very hip. It was very hip. I don't know a street anywhere in Los Angeles or New York that equates to King's Road in the 70s, 60s and 70s.
Wow.
And I started ripping out, there were 4 bedrooms. I wanted 2. So I started ripping out walls and things. This was a rent-controlled apartment. Nobody told me I couldn't do that.
Oh.
But so I did it. And it was the hangout. Everybody used to hang out at my place on the King's Road. And it was over a pub that I remember Rod Stewart would go there, and several of the Stones, Mick used to go there. And it was just it was a really well-known pub, and I had the flat above it, and it was like,
Wow.
You're hanging out with
everything just
everybody.
everything lined up for me. So
Yeah,
I
you're
would
very
say to
lucky.
my earlier self, keep going with your gut, because my gut was really leading me in some awesome places. So I think you really have to listen to yourself and don't go against yourself. If you don't feel right about doing something, don't do it.
Brilliant.
That's the best I can do on that one.
Yeah. Amazing. Jace.
So you are getting back into the business. What are your hopes for the next few years? What are you aiming for?
What would be really nice is to have not a big role, but just a role on a series that continues, continuing role on a series, and just do, not working all the time like a hectic schedule, but just a little bit here and there and collect residuals.
No, that's smart. Yeah. So Star Trek has moved back to Canada. And since you're getting back into it, there's two new shows coming out. They've got Starfleet Academy. So I'm giving you some insights so that when somebody asks you, hey, you want to come back? You can go, yeah. So
Yes.
There's one that's a big budget, that's Starfleet Academy. And there's one that's going to be like a comedy show that's untitled at the moment. So one of the famous things about Star Trek is many people that have played one character can come back as something completely different because there's so many different species. It's infinite diversities and infinite.
But were they blown up?
Yeah. Oh, everybody gets blown up. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Michael
Oh,
Dorn's
that's
been blown
true.
up like 8 times already.
Yeah, and he still comes
Yeah,
back.
that's true. That's true. Nobody gets out of there alive. If you're
Yeah.
dead, you're really dead.
Yeah. But would you consider returning to the world of Trek as a new?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
really?
Absolutely.
Nice. Even with all the makeup?
Well, they don't have to do it that way anymore.
No, yeah, it's a changed world.
It's so much easier now. You don't have to encase a whole head, and they can do it all with computers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that wouldn't be an issue.
Oh, well, so I really hope you get in the line for some of these new shows that are coming out. It would be so great to see your return to television and in the films too, because I know they're threatening to eventually do Star Trek 4, so that would be a really funny thing if you can get back and get the sequel shot you never had, or you could even reprise your role. They could do some type of weird, because it's all timey-wimey now.
Well, yeah.
They've gotten this whole weird splinter universe in the Kelvin timeline. So
Yes, we found all these pieces of Valkris and we've put her back together again.
Yeah, exactly. We could sit here and talk all day, but I just want to say thank you so much for joining us in the Captains Quadrant. This has been a fantastic time sitting and chatting with you. Is there anything that you want to share? Any maybe real estate? Do you have like a slogan? Get sold, Patach, or
I wish I could translate from English to Klingonese, but I know I can't.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a real treat, and as I've told you, it's my first podcast, so
yay! We're
I
honored.
really enjoyed it.
Yes.
I really, really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Not as much as we did. Thank you.
Yeah, we trust
You
us.
guys are so easy, and you always had another question lined up, and it was really, you made it very easy. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.